Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
811 is the number to call before you dig. 811 will help avoid fines, knocking out utility service, even injury. So call 811 before you dig.
and James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.
Pitch to Duffy, driven to deep right center field. He'll pull into third with a triple. Flashed into left field. Duffy's got it. The shovel to Tomlinson. Relay on to first and left Pisa. Swung out and missed. Speared by Blackburn. Parker galloping in. He'll slide and make the catch. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome once again to Flying Squirrels Insider. Second episode as this 2015 season already moving along rapidly. Your host, John Laser, along with my good friends and co-host, Jay Burnham, down there on the far side, and in the middle, Wes McElroy from Fox Sports 910. We get to them in just a moment, but first we introduce our newest buddy here on Flying Squirrels Insider, and that is one of our community partners, Utility Buddy from the City of Richmond Public Utilities. Utility Buddy, instrumental in conveying safety messages about natural gas, stormwater drainage, and calling 811 before you dig. For more information, go to richmondgov.com/DPU. Also, back now for this fourth season of FSI, text to win Flying Squirrels free stuff. Jay is once again coordinating that, but pay special attention. It is a new number this year that we need you to text FSI to during the show, and that is 63975. And 63975 could allow you to earn a Flying Squirrels prize pack. Mobile marketing service provided by Opt-in Technologies. All right, guys, we've welcomed everyone we need to welcome, including the team to town. Let's go rapidly into this. Guys, your first impressions of this club.
Well, I think the Squirrels certainly have some strengths here, and that's going to be the pitching staff and the bullpen from what we've seen. Early on in the season, the offense is a little bit behind where the pitching is, but overall, I think you and I talked about it on the radio broadcast yesterday. About a B+ would be the grade that we would give them after the first 7 days.
I can see that as well. You look at a team, it's typical baseball. The pitching's always ahead of the hitting. I will have to say, though, Mac Williamson, you want to talk about a first impression on the first week of the season. That's a guy who's really stood out.
Jay, we have to discuss this because the baseball gods got involved in this 2015 season early. You can see the bags under these eyes right here, viewers. That is not makeup. That is au naturel here this morning. We had a long first homestand. It was a delightful homestand from many respects, including the crowds and all that. But 14 innings the first night of the season made it feel an awful lot like July very quickly.
Yeah, 14 innings the first night and then 14 innings 2 nights later on Saturday. And we talked about the putting in these pitch clocks and speeding up the pace of game, and nothing's going to speed up the fact that you're going to play an extra inning game like that. So with all that said, I know it was wearisome for us and the front office staff because we're there throughout the day, but look at what the fans were able to do, staying till midnight on a cold, windy Thursday for opening night, and then the amount of people that were there just cheering on the Squirrels. It was really kind of a cool atmosphere, despite the fact that it might have been not only tiresome for us and grueling, but also for the players as well.
A little later on here on FSI, our James Limousine Luxury Coach of the Week this week will join us and break down some batting stances. That is returning hitting coach Ken Joyce. But Wes, you mentioned the energy, or Jay did there, from the crowd. There's energy in this clubhouse this year as well, and I think that's being brought by first-year manager Jose Alguacil.
Younger guy, it's a little bit of a different version, a little bit different philosophy. And this is something that we talked about with Steve Kline before, is you got to let guys be themselves. At the same time, you got to bring them together. It's a teaching philosophy, but you can't make them so tight. Baseball is such a long season that you got to remember, it's a night in grind. You got to let it be loose at times, and that's what we're kind of seeing from this clubhouse and from these guys.
And that's really been the standard set at the top of the San Francisco Giants organization. That's Brett Bochy, the son of Bruce Bochy. He used to talk all the time about his dad's feelings on that and the looseness that he wanted in the clubhouse. Seems like it's there, Jay, and I think that led to some impressive Double-A debuts. That's a difficult thing for these players, but we did not see that as we go pitching first here today on FSI from Joe Biagini, who was remarkable, and also Matt Lujan, who pitched very well.
Yeah, that's a good tie-in, and guys like Jack Snodgrass, who are here for their third season. Lujan not really at adverse to making his Double-A debut. Same with Joe Biagini. He went 6 innings of shutout baseball. Unfortunately, did not get the win. But those were two guys, kind of wild cards. We didn't really know what we were going to get with them coming into the season, but certainly to start, it looks like they're going to be very helpful in that rotation.
Wes, did you notice that Jay, even though I said Lujan and Biagini, he immediately goes to his boy Jack Snodgrass because he wants to gush about his season debut as well. We're going to give him that chance in just a second. Some of these guys that are returning to this level and made their first appearances. But before Jay does that, Wes, talk about Chris Stratton. He's now made 2 starts. He's looked pretty good in both of them.
He really has. He's probably kicking himself over a couple of walks from yesterday, but all in all, really, he's been solid in 2 starts. And here's a guy who's got the fastball, he's got the sinker, he's got the slider, he's got the curve. But here's a guy who's worked, as Steve Kline talked about this, he's worked to get that base, to get those legs where he's had some more oomph behind his fastball. And you look at yesterday where he's frustrated, he walks a pitcher, still gets himself together, and even though it was a loss, still only had given up 2 hits and 2 runs on the day. So, I mean, we've seen the maturity out of Chris Stratton in just 2 starts in the season.
Jay, my script right here says, point to Jay to gush about Snodgrass.
well, he did it again. You know, Jack Snodgrass comes out, makes his first start of this season, and at times he really wasn't all that great, but he was able to get through it with 5 scoreless innings. First couple pitches of the game, weak ground balls, something we've become accustomed to from Snodgrass. Then in the 3rd inning, it looked as though he was trying to get the strikeout when he should just trying to be pitching to contact. He was able to make the adjustment and go through for the Flying Squirrels. And when you get that start, and we've seen all these starting pitchers that we've talked about, when you're able to get them to go more than 5 innings the first time through, that's a big bonus for the bullpen.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And Kelvin Marte knocked off the back end of the rotation, also a big bonus for the bullpen. He was forced to do that because of those 2 14-inning games. The one member of the starting rotation that we didn't touch on yet, Kyle Crick, of course, one of the Giants' top prospects. We saw a lot of the same from last year, erratic at the outset of his performance, but we also saw some good. We saw him able to blow people away with the fastball, which, of course, we saw plenty of times last year. And we could distinguish between the breaking balls. I thought his curveball has advanced quite nicely through spring training. We'll give the Crick report usually episode to episode here on FSI. But guys, again, let's go back to some of the newer faces on this staff, and let's go to the bullpen to do that. Jay, we saw impressive debuts from Steven Johnson. We've seen him a couple of times actually now, and also Yohan Gregorio has not allowed a batter to reach base yet.
Steven Johnson, a nasty slider. He's got a plus fastball, 94, 95 miles an hour, and was really able to utilize both of those pitches. And when you see a relief pitcher that has those 2+ pitches, you certainly think that he has a future in the major leagues. Now going to Yohan Gregorio, you mentioned he hasn't allowed a base runner. This is a guy throwing at you 6'8", coming downhill, just absolutely explosive. He reminds me a lot of a guy we saw in this league a couple years ago who's now pitching for the New York Yankees, in Dellin Betances. It's tough for those big guys to repeat that delivery, but Gregorio so far has been able to do it.
And a big-time breaking ball as well, as we look at Josh Osich now, Wes, who has pitched behind the guys that Jay was just talking about at the back end of the bullpen. Osich seems to be rejuvenated. He's mixed in a cutter. That changeup is still devastating, and he looks on a lot more solid ground than he did this time last year.
Yeah, he's got the velocity up, and that's a big one, because here's a guy, when he played his college ball, had that velocity, had Tommy John surgery. The first 2 years of minor league ball, had a lot of shoulder soreness issues to deal with, but he's got the velocity back. He's using those off-speed pitches. He's just got to work on hitting his spots, but look, when you got a guy like Steve Kline, that's going to eventually come.
Yeah, and there seems to be a familiarity and a friendship between Osich and Kline. I think he's a lot more open to suggestion from Kline just because of that familiarity, so we'll see where the season goes for Osich as well. I mentioned Kelvin Marte. He was sensational, 3 1/3 flawless innings as he piggybacked on the back of that aforementioned start for Matt Lujan. So right now, this pitching staff, which kind of came in under the radar, guys, is really guiding this team to a somewhat successful first homestand of the season. Let's get offensive. I know I've been offensive since I met you guys in the parking lot this morning. Mac Williamson, Jay, he's the headliner to this offense, and he showed why.
Yeah, Wes just mentioned it, and since we have Kenny Joyce here on the show, I was able to ask him today what he thought was so impressive from what we've seen of Mac Williamson, and he has a plan at the plate. He's consistent. His approach is within himself, and we've seen him take balls deep to left field. We've seen him also be able to go the other way. So when you see a guy at this level for the first time, able to make those adjustments and hit the pitch to where it is, you certainly like what coaches see. So with him and Mitch Delfino, two guys who've been able to make solid contact, this offense certainly has some promise.
10 un plan, that's the Spanish Hanafa plan, and it's posted all over the Flying Squirrels clubhouse. Unfortunately, Wes, a couple of other guys that are returning haven't always necessarily taken that to the plate, I don't think. That's Angel Villalona and Ricky Oropesa, both off to slow starts.
Yeah, both off to real slow starts. Oropesa still not recorded a hit yet, and Villalona's only got one, which was a squibber here in the first game of the season. Two guys, look, at the beginning of the season, things happen. Batting will struggle, offense will struggle, guys get in their heads. But these guys, this has been continued over from last year, especially with Oropesa. The strikeouts, he can't get on base, not even for walks. And Villalona, it just seems to be all or nothing with this guy. It's either a strikeout, a double, or a home run, but we're seeing way too many strikeouts early on in the season.
All or nothing, feast or famine, you could apply both of those. Jay, there are a lot of power bats in this lineup. We saw a number of strikeouts in that first series. I think that's going to continue to be the case, but the productivity probably arrives at some point, too, with Devin Harris, Javier Herrera, some other guys in there.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you want? Do you want the strikeouts or do you want the dingers, Lays?
I want the dingers. I want to sock some dingers.
So hopefully these guys will certainly get a little bit of a better approach at the plate, but you're going to have those strikeouts with the feast and famine that you've got with all that power in the middle of the order.
Wes Kelby Tomlinson continues to get better and better. He's now back at the top of the order as Daniel Carbonell has struggled a bit. They shuffle him to the 2-hole.
Yeah, here's a guy who turned the corner a little bit last year. We got to see more about him at the plate, see more speed. I was just talking to Kenny Joyce before we walked on the set. He said, here's a guy who learned to use his legs, not just his arms and his hands, and you're seeing him move the ball across the field, spray it here and there, and he's getting on base. And he's also drawing walks.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Kelby Tomlinson will once again get his sea legs, as it were, in terms of stealing bases as he gets more comfortable with Jose Alguacil and the direction that he's being given on the base paths. Well, guys, I wanted to close very quickly here on this talk because Chris Heston had a special opportunity this week. Jay, he got to start opening day at AT&T Park. Not only did he arrive for that, he flourished in that role.
Yeah, huge for Heston, a guy that was here with the Squirrels, and not only that, Matt Duffy certainly contributing at the big league level as well, had his first home run in the bigs last night.
Hesto Presto has arrived in the Bay Area. We remember him, of course, from his time here in Richmond and also contributing to this show. We've got a little bit of fun happening on this show today as well with some new characters, and we're about to see that. Of course, Kenny Joyce is with us on FSI Field, and a visit from Shane Turner, Giants Director of Player Development. Jam-packed FSI continues right after this.
Here we go, Mac.
Oh, darn it. God, I should be hitting dingers all over the place here. What's going on, Kenny?
You know, Mac, I hate when you come in here hungry, you start acting like Pitching Coach Steve Kline. Are you hungry? Try a Snickers bar. Maybe that'll help.
Much better.
Oh yeah, Kenny, much better. That's what I'm saying, man. Squirrels satisfy.
Welcome back to Flying Squirrels Insider. We're now more comfortable here at the Diamond in our favorite location, Parney's Pub. It's our own butler's cabin, as it were, in this Masters week, and joined by our good friend, Giants Director of Player Development, Shane Turner. Shaner, welcome back to Richmond, of course. We just saw a couple of your coaches taking part in a hilarious spoof of a Snickers commercial, and we, of course, appreciate that. But I want to start right there. You've reshaped the staff, and you've got a lot of energy in Richmond this year.
Well, first of all, let's say that acting's not their forte. That's why they are coaching, okay? We did want to bring some energy here. I feel in our system and in most of baseball, this is really the spot where you're going to determine if you actually have a chance to be a big league player. And it's not about talent and ability, it's about the adjustments you're able to make. So I felt like we needed to bring a staff who Kleiner practically lives here, you know, and Augie's the same way. Guys who would want to be at the park, that want to talk to players. Part of that development isn't just baseball, it's maturity, getting you to grow up as a man also. So we knew that these guys would take the time to develop those relationships and spend that time with those kids. Basically, we have 3 baseball rats here. They just live for baseball, and that's what we really needed at this level.
Shane, when you have so much success at the big league level and 3 World Series titles in 5 years, I think you'd classify that as success. A lot of times that means you've graduated players to the big leagues. You've also been buyers at the deadline. Thins the system out a bit, but we're still seeing competitiveness at every level. Just wanted to get your overall thoughts on the system as it stands right now.
I'm happy with where our system is. We never have been ranked very high in publications of prospects, but at the end of the day, the last out of the World Series, we had 7 homegrown players on the field. We had 16 on that roster, 17 at one point early in the playoffs. We've had a couple kids, Heston going up in an emergency early in the season, has made 2 quality starts. So I really don't judge our system based on what other people think. I judge our system on our ability to help our major league team and keep us competitive and trying to win championships.
Speaking of helping the big league team, and also one of the guys you just referenced, Chris Heston, what a proud moment that had to be for you guys as developers. Actually, just a couple of days back, he gets the nod in the home opener, talk about the thrill of a lifetime, but beyond that, delivers 7 sterling innings.
Well, and I think that's the process of development is different from A-ball to AAA. I really felt like last year our staff there, and particularly Bernard, our pitching coach, did a great job in finishing him off. As far as understanding the importance of his sinker and using it early and trying to get early outs, of developing his secondary stuff, and then just developing mentally, making him into a really tough competitor.
You also referenced Matt Duffy making the opening day roster. He was a part of the postseason run, like you said, last year. And it's not that he came out of nowhere. You and I both know that's true. You knew who he was and knew what he was capable of, but he wasn't ballyhooed, according to those same publications. I ask you that because I want to look at this year's team real quickly as we close out here. Who might be this year's Matt Duffy on this Squirrels team that the publications aren't talking about?
And again, that's privileged information. Sometimes you don't know, but you look around this team, and you look in the bullpen, you look at some of the arm strength we have. That would be the first place I'd look. But then you look on the field. Mitch Delfino, I think, fits that category because of who he is inside. He's a competitor. He's a grinder. He wants to get better every day. I mean, I thought last night's game was an indication that when he hit the home run, fouling some pitches off the other way, but knowing at some point they were going to have to challenge him inside. You watch him play every day. You watch him work every day. I mean, if you're going to put me on the spot like you just did, and I got to pick the guy, that would be Mitch Delfino for me. You're not going to read his name in publications, but you watch him play every day, and you watch him get better every day, and you go, you know what? I'm not sure anything's going to stop him.
Shaner, you know that I can never put you in a box. You can dodge the questions if you want. We're not coming after you. You know that on multiple levels. Buddy, it's great to have you here in Richmond, and I think we're going to see you on the road actually next time around. But here's to getting it cranking again in 2015. I do miss the Dragons, but I'm glad you're here nonetheless.
Well, like I said, it's always a pleasure to come here. It's like coming home when I'm here.
Shane Turner, it is like home when he's back. Squirrels are closing out their homestand, heading on the road next week. We come back, though, and another of those instructors we saw a little earlier on FSI, Ken Joyce, who's always been a great friend of the program, in studio with us. We get on FSI Field for the first time as Flying Squirrels Insider continues. Welcome back to FSI. Once again, our thanks to Director of Player Development Shane Turner, kind enough to take time for us once again this season. And this guy, we always know, will take time for us, even on an off day. He is, of course, Flying Squirrels hitting coach Ken Joyce. And Kenny, here we go again, another season, another group of guys.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting to be here for a 5th season, and ladies, you get better looking every year.
I think that's true. And I think the viewers do too. You too as well.
Oh, I appreciate it.
But sometimes the offense gets better looking, and we were eagerly anticipating Mac Williamson being with us last year. Unfortunately, he didn't arrive due to Tommy John surgery. He has opened in a big way through the first homestand, and we wanted you to break down kind of why that's the case. We talked earlier about him having a plan. He's been executing it.
Well, Mac Williamson's the epitome of the 4 components of hitting that we teach in the San Francisco Giants organization. You mentioned number 1 already, have a plan. The second thing he does, which is to get in position to hit. He does an outstanding job of getting in position to hit. Third is reacting to what he sees. And the fourth one, which is as important as anything, which is to emotionally deal with the outcome. And Mac never gets too high, never gets too low. We try to get the hitters to stay on an even keel. That's what he does best. But as far as getting in position to hit, the big thing Mac does is he's able to get in position with his stance. He's real athletic. He keeps his hands in close to his body. When he does stride, when he does take his stride, he doesn't overstride. He gets in position to create resistance with his front foot. The key for Mac is that he's able to keep that knee inside his ankle. So even on off-speed pitches, as the ball comes, he's able to ride that front leg and keep that knee and keep that resistance to allow his hands to work and stay through the zone. We've noticed he's hit some off-speed pitches the other way. That's the reason why, because he's able to stay behind the ball by riding that front leg.
Is he more advanced, do you think, because of those elements than a lot of the other prospects that have come to this level for the first time?
No question. There's absolutely no question. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that when he does have a plan, he studies the opposing pitchers. He also is able to give information to other hitters. But for me, the biggest thing is mentally, he's able to deal with the failure, which we all know the whole game's predicated on failure. 7 out of 10 times, you're going to fail.
I epitomize that. I take it up to 8 or 9 out of 10 times, but I'm still employed here in year 6, so that's a good thing. Feast or famine. A lot of people have used that description to describe this offense because you've got a lot of power bats in the middle. Williamson has been feasting. Unfortunately, famine for Angel Villalona. Let's take a look at Angel, Kenny, and all the things that you just mentioned for Williamson. We've seen those from Villalona at times, but unfortunately, we're seeing something different thus far this year.
Yeah, totally different. And, you mentioned feast or famine with this lineup. In spring training, we had conversations about the fact that we have a bunch of 4-hole hitters. And obviously there was some concern in the first series that we had quite a few strikeouts. So that's going to happen. If you're going to get power and you're going to get production, you're also going to get strikeouts. So the key is that we have to cut those strikeouts down and make more consistent contact. Villalona is the type of guy that needs to do that. What Angel's trying to do right now is he's trying to create. He came into spring training. He and Ricky Oropeza were both told that neither one of them had the job at first base. They were supposed to compete. Let's see whichever one of you wants it. Really, neither one of them took the lead. So I think what happened is Villa came into Richmond trying to create too much. He's real spread out right now. One of the things they tried to do in spring training was to help him with his posture. He has a real hard time with his upper half posture. He likes to lean over at the plate. I'm sure we got video of that. We'll show of him leaning over the plate and lunging at the ball. So one of the things we tried to do in spring training was to give him a high leg kick, kind of Buster Posey-like, to give him a high leg kick, because if you bring your leg up this way, you should be able to keep your posture up. It's going to be hard to bend over and do that. Unfortunately, he has not really taken that. I don't think he's accepted it. It's something that felt uncomfortable for him. So right now we got to the point where Shane Turner and I sat him down, put the ball in his court. Let's find something comfortable for you. But the biggest thing is we've got to get him in position that when he lands, his upper half posture is here and not where it's been, where he ends up out here.
4-hole hitters. 4-hole hitters. He's definitely one of those, Kenny. But you do have some speedier type guys at the top of the order. And let's spend the last minute that we have very rapidly. Everything he does is very rapid, so let's break him down rapidly. Kelby Tomlinson 2014 versus Kelby Tomlinson 2015 in 30 seconds.
Biggest difference Kelby Tomlinson has made is he's on his legs. Kelby is on his legs in spring training. Joe LaFay, assistant hitting coach at the big league level at big league camp, got him to understand that when he's on his legs and balanced, and if you notice he sinks down a little bit more, he's able to use his legs to generate that power, use his back hip to allow his hands to work. Ball's coming off his bat real well to all fields.
Well, there you go. Mac Williamson feasting on Angel Villalona. Hopefully we'll be feasting soon. And Kelby Tomlinson continuing to serve as the table setter. We've got some new characters here at FSI. We've got some old friends. Kenny Joyce, you saw him earlier, with our newest character, Steve Kline, as well. All in all, it's been an action-packed FSI. We're off and running in 2015, and we'll see you again at the ballpark. It was just a week ago that we eagerly anticipated opening day at the Diamond. And as promised, baseball returned with all the necessary pomp and circumstance. It was certainly a jovial mood at the ballpark as the Squirrels opened play against the Bowie Bay Sox. Now, day 2 of the season generally doesn't come with the same fanfare, however, as the realization of the long journey that awaits settles in over all of us. And apparently this year, the baseball gods really wanted to drive that point home, as Richmond and Bowie needed 14 long innings and 4 hours and 47 minutes to decide the season opener. That left an exhausted Squirrels staff fairly spent heading into day 2, which did, fortunately, go smoothly. But then day 3, when we remembered that just when you think you've seen it all, the unforeseen occurs. That happened on Saturday, as once again the two teams needed an exhausting 14 innings in Game 3 of the 4-game series and bested the opener by lasting 4 hours and 54 minutes with the Squirrels running out of available pitchers. Average game time of 4 hours and 13 minutes through the first 3 games of the year. And as they left the ballpark that night, many staffers were probably left wondering if they indeed had enough in the tank to make it all the way until September. But then the beauty of our game. A splendid Sunday arrived with crystal blue skies and a snappily played series finale that concluded in 2 hours and 29 minutes, reminding us that everything evens out through the course of the season. And it is the team that bounces back from adversity most consistently that will be the last one standing at the end of the year. The Squirrels team and front office were no doubt fatigued after the lengthy opening weekend. However, they bounced right back with a nutsy bobblehead giveaway and a win over Altoona on Monday. First impression of this 2015 season, the Squirrels do indeed have what it takes. Squirrels hitting the road for the first time this week, so for now I say so long for all of us here at FSI. We'll see you when the bus pulls back onto the boulevard and we discover what homestand number 2 has in store.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
The smell of natural gas escaping is a pungent odor like rotten eggs, a bad smell for a really good reason, your safety. If you ever smell the strong rotten egg odor of natural gas, leave the area, go where the smell is no longer present, and call 911.
and James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.